Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good day. Never know when you all are going to be watching this, and if you're not catching it live, you could be catching it at a later date. My name is Tiffany Hill Cook, and I run a spiritual practice called the Healing Hill. And on Thursdays and Sundays, I go live. On Sundays, it is sometimes I have a guest that will be joining us. Like next weekend, I do. Um, but Sundays is more informational. It's always channeled by spirit. Um, and let's just back up. If you are just joining my channel, in 2020, I experienced a spiritual awakening. And as a result of that, I came to discern that I came into this life with a lot of spiritual gifts, ones that I spent many lifetimes prior to this incarnation um, learning how to use. And because of my life's purpose, I was given access to these gifts in this lifetime. And so I have a spirit team, and they are able to communicate with me and give me information. And the meat and potatoes of my channel is helping to raise the vibration of Earth, to remind you that you are loved, to remind you that you are not broken, that everything is made in the image of God, and God doesn't make no junk. And so Sundays, like I said, is going to be more informational. And every week, I just asks my spirit team, what do we want to talk about this week? And this week, they wanted me to talk about the body, and specifically the relationship between the mind, the body, and the soul. And but I also go live on Thursdays. And on Thursdays, I go live at 12 p.m. Pacific time, and I do live channeled readings. So, based off of the spiritual practice that I run, I do one on ones with folks. I do 30-minute sessions or 60-minute sessions. But I am really excited to share with you that starting on March 1st, I signed up for a course to learn how to teach courses. And so come fall, I am going to have a really cool offering for you that is going to essentially remind you of who you are. And uh, again, I haven't started the course yet. I do have a journal with a lot of ideas, but I just want you to know that I'm working on something so I can do more group work as opposed to one-on-one work. So, but on Thursdays, like I said, I go live and do a live channeled reading. And I do have a video on what a channeled reading is. I will post it here. You should be able to, there should be something that populates so that you can click on it. What is a channeled reading? It is a free offering to you. It is traditionally an $87 value. And so if you are interested in having a reading with me that would be shared publicly on YouTube, contact me, send me a message. I'd like a free reading. Slight disclaimer, not everybody that volunteers is chosen. I listen to my heart and my stomach, and if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it might be the wrong time or I'm not the right person. All right. Lastly, if you gain value from this video, please like it. If my energy resonates with you, I put out, like I said, at least 2 videos a week. Subscribe so you can be, up to date. And just a gentle reminder, as Rumi said, what you seek is seeking you. So if you have found me, it's because you are looking for me. I may not be in the package that you are looking for necessarily, but there is something about your thoughts and who I am energetically that have aligned. So we shall begin. I love a story, and so what I would like to start with is a story, specifically about my body and the relationship that I had with my body for many, many years. The first time that I remember being conscious of my body, and not only conscious of my body, but under the belief system that something was wrong with my body, was at age 5. At age 5, I remember asking for green beans for breakfast, like the French cut style. I don't know how to say that exactly. Um, but hey, buttermilk, just try to keep it down a little bit, okay? My dog, I have a French bulldog, and she can be a little bit loud. Um, was at age 5. At age 5, I knew that green beans didn't have any fat. I was under the belief system that I was fat. And as you very well know, no 5-year-old would be able to generate that type of information if it didn't come from your parents. And my mother, I do not have a relationship with her today, but up until 2020, when I did, was either binging in the sense of eating and gorging any food that she could in preparation for a diet, or essentially starving her body. And not in the sense of anorexia, but she would go on these like, okay, I still remember, what is her name? Marie Osmond. She used to partner with some diet company. And I remember the 30-day box of food that arrived, and it was no larger than like, let's just say a 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot box. That was your breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a month. Nothing refrigerated. Think about really how healthy that could be for your body. At any rate, though, we're not coming from a place of judgment. We're just speaking our truths. So I was mirrored this behavior of the goal was always thinner. It wasn't even a certain weight, because there have been times in my life, particularly in my late 20s, early 30s, where I was on Adderall, prescribed Adderall. I do have attention deficit, but in 2021, my spirit team said, you don't need this anymore. We do not want this in your body. And so I stopped taking it. I subsequently gained about 40 pounds. Um, and so that has been a journey these past few years of um, remembering that my soul and body are best friends. In order for my soul, for this quest, for this journey that I'm on, which is really fleeting, very temporary and transient in nature, especially because we're eternal beings. We live forever. Nobody ever really dies. Um, I knew that that was just part of my journey, loving my body no matter the size. Because I'll tell you this, when I was thinner, my body was an issue. When I've been larger, my body's been an issue. So what does that say? It's not about my body. So, first time I remember being aware of my body, and I'll tell you this as well, I have a biological little sister, and she's just built differently than I am. She was always just super, super skinny. Um, I mean, even we're probably the same height, 5'3", 5'4", but I would just say naturally, in high school, I was probably like 140 pounds, and she was like 110. Just naturally ate whatever she wanted. Never. So we just had two different sets of genetics, albeit same parents. And so there was always this comparison I felt between the two of us. And I even remember my father, of course, doesn't remember this. And I can almost guarantee that, your experience that you had versus what your parents remember are two very different things. Um, but I remember specifically my father telling me that my sister could have seconds, but I couldn't. I was not allowed to have seconds, but she could have seconds. At age in 8th grade, I remember going on my first diet. And a couple of different things happened. I remember going camping with my father, and with my, let's say, 14-year-old brain, uh, while they're eating, hash browns and eggs and hamburger helper and, again, whatever was being cooked in the moment, I relegated myself to ham and cheese sandwiches. That, for some reason, I told myself was how you get skinny. And so I remember when coming back, and the first thing my dad told me, because in talking with my stepmom, who thank God wasn't there, she's been a villain in my life. So grateful for her, but she was contracted before we incarnated to play a villain role. And uh, essentially just made me feel really stupid. Didn't tell me I was stupid, but that that uh, that was you probably gained weight essentially. Eating bread, ham and cheese, that's not even like a way to lose weight. So I remember that, but also at age 14, I remember being taken to Walmart, and I had money at this point in time. I started working. My mom had a coffee shop at age 13, and wasn't full time, obviously. Well, that's not obvious. It wasn't full time. It was on the weekends. I would get dropped off and I'd work like an 11-hour shift. And so I had tips. And I worked at that place. I still dream about that place. There's still healing that I am doing in this very moment that manifests from that time of my life. But so I had money, and I didn't have any, let's say, needs. Clothing was provided, food was provided, housing was provided, and so $100 to be made on a weekend day, that's a lot of money for a kid. I even remember ironing my money, and ironically enough, my eldest sister is a thief, and so she stole hundreds of dollars from me, and clothing. And my level of gullibility and trust is when she was exposed, she denied it, and I believed her. It wasn't until way later in my life that I could see, um, not to get off on a tangent, but yeah, and my parents, nothing was ever done about that either. There was nothing in my family growing up was talked about. It was always just kind of swept under the rug. But went to Walmart and I bought it was like a 32-ounce bottle, and it was a liquid diet. It was essentially like a concentrate, and you added it to water every day. And I think I made it to day 3, and it was a 3-day diet. By day 3, so I did 2 days of this liquid diet. Um, and thank you, Buttermilk. Thank you for protecting us. Um, so that was at age 14. And that went through high school. I was on a drill team in high school. We were really, oh, you cannot probably hear this, but I live out of my RV. The cat's going a little bananas, and I just heard why. There's birds that I can hear going up on the roof. So I was on a drill team in high school, and eating disorders ran rampant. A lot of anorexia, like severe anorexia, just like hip bones poking out, anorexia, bulimia. And this was the interesting thing. They were things that we did together as girls. It wasn't like The anorexia was definitely more hidden, and it's maybe because I've never been one. I love food too much, so for me to even go, like, one of the first things I do in the morning outside of, like, drinking some water and getting my dog fed is I start thinking, like, "What am I gonna eat?" Because I really love preparing food, and we're gonna talk about that as well, but, um, so mine was more bulimia, and, that was something that I would do with others. Like, we would go and we would get McDonald's, get 2 value meals, gorge, and then we would take turns going to the bathroom and puking. Um, I never dealt with, like, what is that called? Like, I never cut myself. Mutilization, mutil mutilating. I never mutilated myself. That was never something I was guided to or, felt drawn to. But uh, and the other thing was, I mean, every single thought that I ever had about my body was one of disdain. It was never good enough. I hated my body. Why couldn't it be this and why couldn't it be that? And, even to quite literally, I'd say within the last year. Within the last year, I have come to a different level of love and acceptance and celebration, which I'm gonna get to the how, potentially. I mean, again, this is all channeled right now. Um, so 30 I'm 30 how old am I now? 38 years old, and I spent decades so that's energy. I spent decades of energy having a certain type of relationship with my body, that I have consciously, made different choices to repair and, reclaim and strengthen. So, um, for me, it was the mirroring of this, behaviors from my mother, um, and like I said, up until a few years ago when I had a relationship with her in her 60s, she still was was yo-yo dieting and fixated on image. I'll never forget, and this was towards the tail end of my mother's relationship and my mother and I's relationship, physically anyway. We will always be spiritually connected. She's my mother in this lifetime. I don't even fully understand the gravity of that from a spiritual perspective. I also release her, knowing the fact that I've had thousands of mothers, I've had thousands of fathers. We've all incarnated many, many times, most of us anyway. And, Dolores Cannon talks about if you've ever been called an old soul or identify as an old soul, I do. She goes, we should just call those folks slow learners because they were slow learners in the earth school. But at any rate, one of the not very last, but towards the end of the physical relationship with my mother, and I'm starting to be able to see the toxicity of the relationship, and specifically the way in which my body would alarm me of this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good. There's shame, there's guilt, a lot of shame, but and I'm going to change the person's name, but I would call my mother every day, if not multiple times a day. It was a very codependent relationship. Um, and uh, I remember, I'll never, I can see even where I was getting onto 405, getting onto the freeway. And she says, you'll never guess who I saw. And I said, just tell me. And she goes, again, I'm changing the name, Sarah. And I said, oh, okay. And she goes, oh, she got fat. And I was like, damn, dude. Like, that's the first thing that you gotta tell me? What is sad about that for me is, like, that is her world. And so her ego has created a story associated to the body that keeps her, identified with thought. And so, um, so I saw this being mirrored as a child, and I took it on as truth. I mean, even my grandmother, I remember her telling my cousins, no, it was cousin, it was one in particular who was heavier, how fat he was all the time. Literally calling him fat, which again, fat's not we do not need to fear words, right? Words are words, and if you're fat, you're fat. That's okay. We are very aware beings. You don't need to be telling people that. Like, what is that supposed to help? My grandmother, when she died, was something like 81 pounds. And it wasn't because she did have cancer, but we didn't know that. Quite literally, my mother went to take her to an appointment, regular checkup. My mother shows up, and my grandmother could not breathe. And just want to share with you that my grandparents, my grandfather went first, but my both of them smoked cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes for many years of my life. I love cigarettes. I don't smoke them. Well, sometimes I do smoke today, like, but I'm not addicted to them today. But she smoked like 3 packs a day. As you can imagine, she would have multiple cigarettes going. She was on oxygen as well. Like there was a couple of times her face was almost like second-degree burns burnt off because she had oxygen on it and is smoking a cigarette, and then it exploded. Um, God, I love you, Grandma. I can feel her energy here. But my mother showed up to take her to this appointment, and my mom said, "We're not going to your normal doctor. We're going to the ER." And come to find out, she had a softball-sized tumor in her lungs. And ironically enough, she was always in pain, but her doctor withheld pain medication. They never checked it, and a week later, she died. Now, part of the reason she had disordered eating, she was like a double zero. Um, so thin was always better. But what the doctor shared as well is that because of that mass in her lungs, it took something like 2,000 calories just to breathe every day. That's the amount of energy that was being exerted. So my mother is a product of her environment. And so this obsession around body and specifically your body image and women needing to be thin was something that I grew up at a very young age with. So for me, what started for me from a healing perspective is I know that our intentions are rooted in two places, love or fear, love or fear. And I know what fear feels like because I lived a lot of my life in fear. I lived a lot of my life feeling worthless and, that my value came from workability and producing a product. I had very low self-esteem for many years. And so, and here's the other piece. When I think about, like, just yesterday at work, okay, there is this coworker who has lost a bunch of weight. He has just essentially cut out carbohydrates, but the reason being is, well, he had like 4 stents put in his heart not too long ago. But when he went to the doctor within the last couple years, but when he went to the doctor recently, he was pre-diabetic. And so he's like, I'm fighting for my fucking life. Well, now he's lost a bunch of weight, but what he's noticed is he's got skin here. I didn't never even noticed it myself. And he said, Tiffany, this is kind of making me feel a little bit insecure. And I don't know if you've ever experienced somebody sharing with you their insecurity, and not that you dismiss it, but you think to yourself, I don't even see that. What you see, I quite literally cannot even observe that. And so I started to, because of the fact that I knew that we were rooted in fear or love, I started to every day find different ways to love my body. And it may be something as simple as when I get into my RV, there's a few steps I need to get up. There are a lot of people that can't get upstairs, and it doesn't matter the age. Some people just can't. And so I started having gratitude for my body. I love, uh, to poop. I know that might sound silly. I am super grateful for my bowel movements. And so every day when I have one, sometimes I have a couple, I like hold my lower abdomen and I just it's like having a conversation. I'm just like, you guys are rock stars. I appreciate you so very, very much. And even in the shower, um, how often like, I really like to use a washcloth in the shower, not everybody does. Like, I spent many years just using soap. I like to use a washcloth. It's almost like a form of, um, what is that? Where you like a micro or what is that? What am I trying to say? Well, almost like kinda scrubs the skin. I don't know how else to say it than that at this moment, that's okay. It's like a scrub. And even as I'm doing that, I'm really feeling over my forearms and my shoulders, even down to, like, what does it feel like to rub in between your toes and clean in between your toes? How often do we slow down enough to, like, really feel what that feels like and have some resonance with our body? That's something that I started to do. The other thing too that I started in 2020, repairing this relationship with my body, and I'll never forget, I was sitting at, I was going through my awakening. I was, it was a really intense time in my life. I was very fragile because I think of awakenings as rebirths. So think about a baby, right? That's how I was. Sounds, all of these things, I'm reprogramming how this shit works. And I remember being at breakfast with a girlfriend, and the food had arrived. And she sticks out her hand for me to hold. And I tell her how much this I tell her I don't quite understand what's happening. And I finally find the words. I said, "I haven't had an appetite for years. I don't know what an appetite feels like. I don't know how to feed my body. I don't know how to nourish it." And I remember just crying and allowing that feeling to move through me. And what I started to practice that day was I would go to the grocery store daily and I would buy food that I felt like I would imagine myself going out to a restaurant. And I would say, if I wanted to go out to a restaurant, what would I eat? And so uh, that started to get me excited about food. And then I started to, which, so this is a way in which to nourish your body, right? It's all about energy. Is I think of preparing food now as a form of meditation. And everything that you put in your food has consciousness. There's going to be an energy associated to it. And so, uh, if you think about fast food, for example, what is the energy behind that food? It's not going to be as high of a vibration as some sort of food that you make at home. The more processed something is, the the you know the lower the vibration is going to be. And so for you, I would ask, how often are you making meals at home? And what type of meals are you making? What type of food are you putting in your body? Something else that to remember is, and I don't always get my food from a butcher, my meat, but also, like, what is the quality of the food that you're putting in your body? You may know this, but there are numbers, at least in the United States. I don't know what it is like internationally, but there are numbers associated to fruit and vegetables. And if the number starts with a 9, that means it's organic. If it starts with a 4, that means it's conventionally grown. If it starts with any other number, like a 3, for example, it means that it's unconventionally grown, that it is not a naturally occurring vegetable in nature, that somebody in a lab created this thing. Now, I'm not saying it's good or bad. What I'm just saying is when you go shopping, hold it and ask yourself, how do I feel in this moment? Um, so let's see here. The food that you put in your body will ultimately, it's a form of relationship that your soul has with your body. And it's really the mind, body, and soul. Because the other thing to remember is if you eat while anxious, you eat while angry, you whatever the feeling you have towards the food or even what you're experiencing in the moment is going to be part of that energy. And so, because everything is energy, when you have that meal that you ate angrily, that will stay, that energy is going to stay in your body for a few days. That is how our digestive and elimination system work. So, something that I like to practice, and this is not religious, I want to be really clear. I am not a religious person, I am a spiritual person, is practicing saying grace. And why I say grace is because it puts my body into a state of grace. It puts my body into a state of gratitude, abundance, joy, peace, whatever you want to call in frequency wise. Excuse me, I've had this a little respiratory thing going on that is ultimately going to connect with the food. And also, something that I find really beautiful when I say prayer or when I say grace is like, I like to say things for other people. May I feel abundant, and may anybody who is open to this message feel abundance as well. We don't understand how we are all connected, and we all are fucking connected. Um, the other thing that I will talk about, and that helps me love on my body, is just simply like drinking water. How often are we drinking water? What type of liquids are we putting into our body? I knew a gal years ago, and again, this is no judgment. This is just speaking a story. Um, who didn't drink water? She drank Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. I haven't seen her in decades. I don't know where she is today. I don't know if she still does or not. I can tell you, your body wants more than Coca-Cola. And I get that fruits and vegetables have water. There's other ways to get water, but we are like predominantly made of water. So, nourishing your body in the form of water is going to be another way to love yourself. Um, Something else that you may know that I am just now, this is like a new dimension that's starting to manifest for me, is that our clothing has consciousness, right? And how, like, I was actually, so I'm on this new I don't want to say obsession, but my consciousness has been focused on clothing lately. And so there can be certain clothes that are very healing and other clothing that again is not. Ironically enough, synthetic materials like, I don't know, polyester, stuff made from plastics, rayon, um, those aren't gonna be healing materials. They don't naturally occur in nature. Um, you know, wool and linen are the highest vibrational materials at 5,000 megahertz. They're like miracle materials. But get this shit. Wool vibrates left to right, and linen vibrates right to left. So if you were to wear the two together, they cancel each other out. Who would have known? Also, below in this video, any resources that I reference will be linked. So there should be a link below to an article that specifically talks about clothing and frequency. Organic cotton is going to be at 100 megahertz. Some other, like bamboo, is a high vibrational and healing material. Hemp is going to be a high vibrational healing material. But dude, get this. So I go down this rabbit hole and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get like, let's buy some linen clothes. Well, something that I observed in my research was the shit's kind of more expensive, I'll say that much, than synthetic clothing. And, some of you may be used to spending $50 on a t-shirt. I myself am not. And so, but like the linen clothes that I was looking at, they're just not even, the shape of them is like not something that is I want to put on my body. Um, so, you know, the next time I go to buy a t-shirt, I will say this, I will source out something like, this is cotton. I love this t-shirt. It's a baggy t-shirt. And yeah, I just love the way that I love the way it feels on my body. But so the next time I go to buy a t-shirt, I will source out a higher vibrational material just to see. But what I did find out though is, for example, they make linen sheets. I've never slept on linen sheets that I know of. I definitely don't have linen sheets currently. And so I'm like, okay, well, we spend 8 hours a day in bed. We should be sleeping 8 hours a day anyway. What would that experience feel like, having linen sheets, That's another way to connect with your body. The other thing too that I did not do up until about a year ago was move my body regularly. And that's not entirely true. In 2020, I walked as a part of my awakening to ground myself. And I didn't even know the word grounding, but I walked miles every day. My dog and I, we went 2 to 3 miles every day, like clockwork. Not at the same time, but we walked every day. And it felt so good too. Like, oh man, I really loved my body at that time. And why I say loved is I fell out of love after quitting the Adderall and gaining about 40 pounds. My body almost felt like a foreign vessel. And in May of last year, I joined a gym. And I am still, I would say, from a weight perspective, heavier than I normally, like, you know, growing up thought I should be, or even when at different times, but I don't care. My body can do really amazing things today. It's stronger than it's ever been. I trust my body. My heart's like, I can run a mile now, like just run a mile. I have never been able to do that. And my heart shows up for me. Because part of the reason too, I had some trepidation around going to the gym was I was afraid it wouldn't be able to do I was afraid it wasn't going to show up for me. Sincerely. I was afraid that it was going to fail me. And here's the thing, your body will not fail you. Your body shows up for you, even just down to the breaths that you take. Think about how miraculous that is. Again, I'm sorry, I'm getting over that. Not getting over. Like a couple of weeks ago, it's at like the very, very base of the breath. That's where I have this little phlegm. It's interesting. So moving your body is going to be really, really a yummy thing that you can do for it. And that moving, you can just turn on some music and just dance around. It doesn't have to be like a dance to a song. It doesn't have to be this like huge, choreographed thing. It doesn't have to be commitment for the rest of your life. It could be in this moment. This is how I want to move my body and how I want to connect with my body. The other thing that I use, and I have these linked below as well, well, before I share with this is, um, what is around you is going to be an influence on your body. Like, is your place clean? And when I say clean, is it clean to you? How does being in your space feel? Because our thoughts become things. And if you're curious what your thoughts are, ask yourself how you're feeling. How you are feeling will tell you exactly what your thoughts are. And so, like, if you've got, again, whatever your perspective is, because all of this is external, nothing external is really ever the issue. It's our perception of the external. Um, and so, but what I have found for me is having less things is helpful for me with my body. And also, having clean spaces is helpful with my body. I love to, from a cleansing perspective, I love candles. I love incense. And I love a friend of mine, her company is Cree Candles. It's linked below. She makes, and these are almost out, but I'm meeting with her on Monday. I'm getting a refill. This first one is called Florida Water. And you can kind of see by the cap, it's a very earthy concoction. I get sense of cinnamon. I mean, I honestly have no idea. Oh, here. Well, shoot. It's kind of okay. Cinnamon, allspice, rose, jasmine, bay leaves, angelica root, lemon palm, ginger, lemon. God, if you could see the label, it's like it's so fucking worn. But I spray this on myself, or even even in my just in the air. And another one that she makes is, it's called Almost Florida Water. And this one says, for protection, prosperity, and luck. And the Florida water here for blessing, cleansing, and protection. And but this has a more lavender scent to me. But this has got vodka. Oh, apparently it's a vodka based. Cinnamon, allspice, juniper berries, orange, rose, jasmine, bay leaves, chamomile, angelica root, hibiscus, and lavender water. The one final thing that I'll share with you from a spray perspective, which again is a smudging tool. It's a way to, so some people might like sage or Palo Santo. It's incense will do this as well, but it's a way to cleanse the air, but it cleanses your energetic body. Another way to do that would be like a shower, swimming, getting in water. But I really love the smell of Palo Santo. I mean, it's really hard to recreate that smell, but I have found this company, Orglamix, again, linked below. This was $18. I bought this from a couple of witches at a metaphysical. No, it wasn't even a metaphysical fair. It's just like a farmer's market. But it is a Palo Santo spray, and you can maybe see it says purity, ground, protect. I love this spray. I use this, you can see it's almost gone, regularly, but this has lasted me almost a year and I use it daily. Let's see here. What else with the body? I want you to know that your body loves you. Your body, your body will never ever lie to you. Your body will tell you so the ego will create stories. Your body will tell you the truth. You meet someone and your body, I just experienced this recently. I met somebody And immediately my body said no. But my ego, I allowed to proceed. My ego, focusing on workability, said, well, let's just do something work wise with this person. Every interaction I had with this person was some sort of drama, was one some sort of issue, was some sort of like augmentation of my channel asking for different things to something to be changed. And I just kept saying yes. And I kept saying yes until finally I couldn't do it anymore. And I just let them know something in my body doesn't feel right about this. I've got to surrender and release this. I may or may not be in touch. I don't know. Your body will never lie to you. Listen to it. And you may not know, I spent many years where I had a lot of anxiety. It was like all the time. Well, come to find out, it was my job and my mom. Now, do know that no one can make you feel any sort of way. No one and no thing. And what I mean by that is um, nothing anybody does is ever about you. So if nothing anybody ever does is about you, then nothing you do is ever about anybody else. And you may say, well, they're an asshole. Okay. Your response to that person is going to be directly connected to your conditioning, your programming, your trauma responses, and your healing. Because if I saw somebody acting erratically, I would just probably turn the other way and walk around. Somebody else might go and start to feel very, very, scared, violated. Again, all these things. Someone may, if you have agitation, if somebody's angry, you may go meet it with more anger. For me, I'm like, angry person, all right, bye. That's just, we just turn and we just let that go by us. I don't even engage. And so everything that you do can only be caused by you. Nothing anybody does can ever cause you to do anything. You always have a choice of how you respond and what you do in that moment. And the last thing, why do I say last thing? Is this the last thing? No, it's not the last thing. Maybe they're saying that. Um, Connect with your body, love on your body. Just try this. Start a sentence with what if? What if I fed myself and loved what I fed myself today? What if I trusted my body and I went on a walk today? Now, be careful because there are some of you who overwork their body. So, as much as you can look at somebody and say they're gluttonous, I have definitely known people that have been obsessed with CrossFit to the point that they have literally torn and broken and are on all these, you know, augmented workouts and they still keep working out and their body is clearly telling them, you're pushing me too hard. So, sometimes you've got to slow down too. Sometimes your body needs a day of rest. Um, just a few days ago, so I had gone to the gym for the month of February. I'd gone every day. And, I don't think, well, thinking identification with the ego, it's important to rest your body. So I chose a day and I just said, hey, I'm not going to go to the gym today. But many times throughout that day, I thought, because I really enjoy going to the gym, it feels good. There was a compulsion. You should go to the gym. And it was like, dude, I'm just taking the day off today, ego. Again, that's the mind, body, and soul. So the body wanted rest, but the mind goes, you don't need to rest. And so, um, what would it feel like if you were to start your sentences with what if? What if I tried this for today? What if I tried this for this meal? What if I sat and tried and had a conversation with my heart? What would it sound like? What if I just held myself and hugged myself? How would that feel? What if I allowed that lump in my throat in the form of sadness should just flow through me? What if? Um, what if I trusted the way that my body was communicating with me? Start a sentence with what if and see where that would go for you. Um, just to summarize, what we put in our body, the way we talk to our body, the way that what we surround our body with is all going to have an effect on the way that it feels for us. And your body loves you so much. I mean, think about how much it just does for you without you even fucking asking. It's really beautiful. I mean, I don't consciously go, all right, now, large intestine, you take out the nutrients. All right, colon, no, that's not how it happens. So, um, yeah, just what if? Is there anything else here, spirit? Is there anything else here, spirit? I would like to hear from you. Let's do that. Again, if you got value from this, maybe it's a story that I told that you like, or maybe it's some information around, again, whatever it is, please like this video. Share it with somebody if you think that they can benefit from it. Um, Subscribe. Like I said, I go live twice a week, and that's at a minimum. Sometimes I'm called to make videos in between. And, who I am is always evolving. So this channel is always going to be evolving. I'd love for you to come on a journey with me. Let's go on a journey together. We're on a quest. Let's have fun together. Uh, let's see here. What else? I'd love to hear from you, though. Maybe there's something that I shared today or didn't share, excuse me, today that you resonate with and is a way that you nourish your body, or you communicate with your body. You love on your body, you celebrate it. I don't know. What is that? Please share with me because maybe I want to do it too. I love you all so very, very dearly. You are loved and love simply because it is true, not because of anything that you do or do not do. Um, Anything else here? Yeah, I'll see you Thursday. I do a live reading on Thursday. This week it's going to be with Jen. That is at 12 o'clock Pacific time. If you would like a reading, contact me. I really want to connect with you. Okay. I love you so much. Till next time.